In this lesson, you will begin your study of Microsoft Word, one of the most popular computer software applications and one that almost everyone has a reason to use. You will use many of the tools and features in Word 365, such as applying attractive styles to your document. You can use Microsoft Word to perform basic word processing tasks such as writing a memo, a report, or a letter. You can also use Word to complete complex tasks such as creating sophisticated tables, embedding graphics, writing blogs, and creating publications. Word is a program that you can learn gradually and then add more advanced skills one at a time. So the activity we're going to do next is to create a flyer announcing an internship for the overnight camp in the mountains. Okay, let's start. So when you start working with Word, chances are that it's a shortcut on your desktop or it's pinned on your taskbar. So for me, I don't have it on either of the locations, so I'm going to search for it. So Word is an application that has a blue color interface. So on the search box, I'm going to type Word, and there we have it. We are required to use a blank document because we are going to start everything from scratch. So this is how our Word looks like. Just like with your File Explorer, the area on top was called a ribbon. Also in Microsoft Word, that area on top is referred to as a ribbon. This ribbon has different tabs, starting with the File tab, which takes us to a File Backstage view. So far, we've used the feature Save As. We also have the Home tab that we will mostly make use of. There's an Insert tab, and so on. Okay, and then you have a vertical ruler on the left-hand side, though that one that has numbers, as well as the horizontal ruler. So sometimes if you need to make use of the ruler and you don't see it, you can get it on the View tab. Under the View tab, there's a show grouping there, and the very first icon is a ruler. You'll see it's checked, that's why we can see it, but if I uncheck it, then the ruler disappears. Let's say you want to measure something and you want to make use of that ruler, that's where you can enable it. All right, and then here you will get your page count, the word count, and then here it will be your spelling and grammar errors. As soon as you type and it picks up any spelling and errors, it will warn you there where it's written English South African. And then at the on the right hand side there, this is where you can zoom in and out your Word document. So we're going to start by typing in the title, Internships Available. Okay, so I have typed it. I need space after my typing. So I am going to press Enter 2 times on the keyboard. Enter 1, 2. And then next, I want to type a paragraph that starts with this sum. So after the typing of that paragraph, I'm going to press Enter once so that I am on a new line. All right, so now I am going to type in more data by navigating and getting it from a file that I already have typed. It exists, it is in this document. So I'm going to use a feature in Microsoft Word that is called Text from File. Where do we get this feature? Okay, it's going to be on the Insert tab. I want to insert an object from another source or another document, so hence I am using Insert. So under the Insert tab, if I go further to the right, there is a text grouping. So one of the icons there is an object. So in this object, we call it a split button because it has that little arrow on the right hand side. You will notice that signature line is also a split button. Symbol there is a split button. If I go further to the left hand side, the table is also a split button. So when you get that arrow, that means you can open an arrow in order to open more options. So that means this object is not just about object, you can actually do more inside it, okay? As opposed to a blank page there, it's not a split button, so the only thing you're gonna get out of it is a blank page. You'll see that a cover page is a split button, so that means we have different types of cover pages you can choose from. So let's check text grouping, object, we're going to go for the arrow because we don't want an object. So it has two functionalities, and one of it that we are looking for is a text form file. So I need a text form, a certain file. So this is in T drive, student files, and then that is data 2 over there. All right. So I have all the data that I need in order to advertise or announce these internships available. So next, I am going to make the title of this document look more attractive. So the title or the first paragraph of the document as it's referred in computer literacy, so that as much in English terms we just know as a title, in computer terms you can still refer it to as the first paragraph of the document rather than seeing this one as the first paragraph of the document. Okay, so my interest now is making that title look more attractive. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to change its text effect. So I'm going to go back now to the Home tab, and then on the Home tab you're going to see the font grouping. A synonym for the word font is text. Okay, and then you will see that I have a bold text effect, there's italics text effect, and underline, and as you go further, this is the one we are looking for, the text effects and topography. When you put a mouse cursor on it, it explains that this will add some flair to your text by applying a text effect such as a shadow or a glow. Okay, so it's a split button, so we're going to go in and choose a certain text effect. We want a text effect that has a fill, a black fill with text color 1. It has to have an outline of white background color 1, also a hard shadow that is blue with accent color 5. The very first one there, it's fill black, text color 1 shadow, so it's not the one I'm looking for. And that one is gradient fill gray. The third one at the bottom then is called, it's the one I'm looking for, the black text color 1 fill, the white background color 1 outline, as well as a hard shadow that is white background color 1. And there it is. It doesn't really look nice now, but we're gonna add some flair to it, more flair. So now we want to change the size. Still on your font formatting, then we have what we call a font type. You can change this to different types. It can look like a cursive, it can look bolded, it can look a certain way. So currently it's on a Calibri, and then next to it is your size. So the size currently is 11, which is quite small for a title. So we're going to change it to a size 36. You can click on the arrow and go and pick size 36, alternatively, especially if you cannot see that size. So let's say that a question requires you to change this size to a size 30. You will see that a size 30, it doesn't exist there on that drop-down list. So that means then you would be forced to type it in. So it doesn't mean it's that size. If you don't see it, it is not part of Word. It's just that it's not chosen as a drop-down list. And then you can go and type it in. So we have a size 36. It looks better already. And then next we're going to change the alignment. horizontally, the horizontal alignment. Your text can be on the left-hand side of the page, or it can be on the right-hand side of the page, or it can be centered. Where do we get this alignment? Right next to your font grouping there, we have a paragraph grouping. And then underneath there is your alignment. It's currently aligned on the left. You can put it to the right-hand side, but now we want to center alignment. We are happy. I'm also not happy with that color black, the fill color that is inside our letters, that is black. I want to change that to the font color to an orange accent too. Where is the font color? Let's see. This looks like it has something to do with colors, but no, it's a highlight. Right next to it, we have what we call a font or text color. So this will change the color of our text. It's a split button, so that means when we click on the arrow, we're going to see all types or different types of colors. Okay, when you get to this kind of a question, you have to be careful. Just because it spoke about an orange, it doesn't mean you're going to just go click on any orange you see. So we're talking about a certain shade of orange, which is called orange accent 2. So you will see there at the bottom, that is an orange, but it's just a standard orange. It's not the one we're looking for. So put your mouse cursor on a color just to make sure that you're really selecting the required color. I also see different shades of orange there. That is accent 2, but darker by 50%. I just want an accent 2. So the one on top, that is orange accent 2. That is what I'm looking for. All right. And then also you will notice that there are shadows on the right-hand side of each letter. There's a shadow on the right-hand side of either N and all the other letters. I would rather have this shadow offset from the left-hand side rather than from the right-hand side. So I'm going to select my title again and offset that shadow from the left. How do we select? I'm going to put my insertion point on the left of either. Once I'm there, I'm going to left-click my mouse and hold. Then drag while holding to the left key until I have selected internships available. Notice that you can select all the way and include a paragraph marker, but that can actually mess things up. The correct way of you selecting this time around, you will try to just stop at E there. All right, so I'm going back to the text effect since it's the one that gave me the text effect and put a shadow there. So if I go back to it, I can actually play around with the shadow and not work with the one it gave me originally. I want an outer shadow, which is what we have. The only difference I want to effect now is that it offsets from the left-hand side. The first one, it offsets bottom right. The second one there, it offsets right. And that one, it offsets top right. This one, it offsets center. That one, let's see, it offsets left. That's what I want. Offsetting from the left-hand side. So you will see that shadow now is actually on the left-hand side of each letter, unlike when it was on the right-hand side originally. So I am happy with the title so far. So now we're going to insert a picture. Clearly, a flyer will look nicer if there's some picture of some mountains so that the people we are advertising to can kind of have an idea of where this camp is going to be held. So we are going to insert to position the insertion point at the beginning of a paragraph that begins with this summer. So you need to be very careful with such instructions because there would be a reason why your insertion point should be there. Because if you do not do this, then it's going to affect the next question or next questions. So you will see the insertion point is blinking right there on the paragraph that starts with this summer. So I'm happy. Where am I going to insert a picture? Remember, I'm going to get an object that is somewhere else also from a file explorer, like I got the text from another file. So this is also going to be from the insert tab. All right. So there on the illustrations grouping, the first icon is a picture. So I'm going to insert a picture. You can insert a picture from this device that we are working on, from stock images or from the internet, which is online pictures. But I do have a picture already in our student files that is on the T drive. So I'm going to go for this device. So my picture is on T drive, student files, and there we have it. Okay. So notice what happened as soon as I had the picture in. Okay. So when the picture was not there, the tabs are stopped at help. But as soon as I had a picture in now, there's an additional tab called picture format. So that means anything now that we want to do to this picture, we will find on that tab picture format because it came with its own tab. You will also notice there are round things around the picture. Those round icons, we refer to them as your resizing handles. You only see them when your picture is selected. What will happen if I select outside the picture? The resizing handles disappear, also the picture format tab disappears. That means that you won't be able to do anything to the picture because it's not selected. So I'm going to select it now by clicking on it. All right, so what are we going to do now to the picture? I want to change the layout options. Why do I want to do that? Because my picture is not positioned correctly. I want it smaller and I want it positioned on the right hand side. But if now I attempt to move this picture anywhere else, it just looks messy. It's impossible. You'll see that it even cut capacity there. The cap is left on top of the picture while the opacity is now at the bottom of the picture. But what will enable me to move this picture with ease, that is when I change the layout options of the picture. Notice that when your picture is selected, there's an icon on the top right hand corner there that has a little curve inside it. That is an icon for layout options. Okay, I'm going to click on it and then I will go for a layout option called a square text wrap. Okay, here is different text wrappings. The first one there, it's a square. Okay, and then you will notice that now that I have changed the layout option, I can move this picture with much ease. All right, so now we're going to change the size of the picture. We can do that either by dragging one of the resizing handles or by typing in a specified value. Let's start with a resizing handle. So I will make use of the ruler and try to have this picture on that 8 centimeters there. So I'm going to use the resizing handle that is at the bottom right hand corner, the circle there. When I get on it, I will left click and hold and then drag to the left hand side. Then you will see that my picture is getting smaller. I think that is approximately at 8 on the ruler there where I want it, approximately. I might not be accurate. Can make it look smaller. Okay, I'm happy with that. Or alternatively, I can go and use a specified value rather than using a ruler as my guide. How do I do that? So what I've been doing in order to move back to what I've done and forward is what we call an undo feature. Where is undo? So you will need this a lot when you've made a mistake. Just make sure when you do this, you don't undo so many times that you've actually thrown yourself off and you are at the beginning because you've undone so many things. I just want to undo one action, so I'm going to click once on undo. So where is that action? On top there, we have an auto save. So have it on so that your things can save automatically. Or if it's off and you are unable to switch it on, you can always click on that save every time you are working on a document so that it saves the changes. So this is the undo that I'm talking about. And then if I undo, it takes me to the previous action. All right, so now I'm going to resize my picture by typing in a predefined value. I know anything to do with this picture, it's going to be on the picture format tab that it came with. And there I can set the height and the width of the picture. I'm going to change the height, okay? I want to change this height to a 4 centimeter and there we have it. We can also make it a 5. I think a 5 will make it better. That's okay. Okay, I think I'm happy with a 5. Okay, but notice that as soon as I change that height, automatically the width also changed. Originally the height was 9.95 with a height of 15.92, but when I changed the height of 5, then the width also changed itself to an 8. So we call that relative sizing. We will learn later how to make it absolute so that the changing of one dimension does not affect the other. All right, so let's move on. So now I'm going to position my picture to the right hand side. That's why I needed it to insert it while I'm on the left of this summer, and also text the text wrapping to a square. When you don't change the text wrapping, you will not be able to reposition your picture. Okay, so instead of left clicking and dragging it around, I'm just gonna use the predefined values again. I can just left click, hold, and then move it around like I just did there. But alternatively, I can get this on the picture format tab. On the arrange grouping, there's a position button. It's a split button. When you click on that button right there at the bottom, there's more layout options. Okay, I want my picture to be horizontally aligned to the right hand side. It's currently on left. I want this to be aligned to the right relative to the margins. That white space there around your page is called the margins. If I say relative to page, it's just going to ignore the margins and just overlap it, and it doesn't look nice. I don't want mine to go over the margin, so I am going to move it to the right hand side relative to the margins. That is ensuring that it's not going to overlap the margin. Also, I'm going to change the top alignment. It will remain on top. I don't want it to be relative to page. Rather, I want it to be relative to line. Remember, that's where now this comes in. The instruction was to insert a picture, but before doing that, to position your insertion point at the start of the paragraph that starts with this summer. So that means if that was not done correctly, then it's not going to affect now this function that we're going to do. So when I say relative to line, it then checks which line was the picture inserted from. So it was inserted on the left of this summer. So that means when it moves relative to that line, it will not go on top of that line. So if I say page, it's just going to go on top of the page, disregarding your margins as well as the title there. So we're going to say relative to line. And then when we are done there, we say, okay. So our picture is on the right-hand side. It's not overlapping your margins. It's on top, but not on top of the line that starts with this summer. Okay, the picture effects, still on the picture format, you will get different picture effects. You can adjust your colors, you can adjust the brightness of your pictures, the picture styles as well. You can play around with your borders effects as well as your layout. So the first one that we're going to do is change the edges of your pictures, that is the border around your picture. Now it's just it's edgy, just straight lines. So we're going to make it look like it's wrapped out by changing a picture styles to a soft edge 5 point. Okay, so where is this picture effect? On your picture format, on the picture effects there, it's a split button, that one also. If you click on the arrow, you will get your soft edges. What are we looking for there? A 5 point picture effect. The soft edge, that is a 5 point. The first one is a 1 point, the second one is a 2.5 point, and the third one is a 5 point. So you must be aware by now that when you put an insertion point on any object, it actually tells you what that object is. Okay, so you don't have to guess it. So there you will see that the edges now look wrapped out rather than your straight lines. And then with the picture still selected, we're going to now change the artistic effects and give it a paintbrush effect, where the artistic effects on the adjust grouping, we're going to click on artistic effect and we are looking for a paint brush. Okay, that one there, it's a paint strokes, and there we have a paintbrush. And then we can click on it and it's giving it a different effect. And then now we're moving on to what we call page borders. On the ribbon, we find the page border on the design tab. Okay? On the design tab, right at the end there on page background, the very last icon is page borders. 3 things that I will ask you in there. You will have to change the setting. Let's choose the current one to be a box setting. Also, let's make it change a style. We're going to change it to a double line style. It's currently on a single line style. There's a dotted line. We will scroll down using that arrow there, and there's a double line. Okay. The color, we're going to use the orange accent hue that we've been using. Remember, we're not just going to jump into any orange. We need to make sure of the shade of orange we are choosing. The one we are currently looking for is orange accent hue. And there it is. And then also the width. 3 widths for the purpose of this module. It's a half, which is an equivalent of a 0.5 decimal. It is a quarter, which is an equivalent of a 0.25 decimal, and 3/4, which is an equivalent of 0.75 decimal. So on a question, you won't always see fractions in terms of width. It might just be an equivalent decimal. So just make sure that you understand that 1/4 is 0.25, 1/2 is 0.5, and 3/4 is 0.75. Now we are going to make use of 0.75, which is 3/4 border width. So we have all in. Then when we are done, we're going to click on OK on the borders and shading dialog box. And there our page has an orange border that is double line styled. All right. And then continuing, we're going to work with text boxes. Okay. So I'm going to position my insertion pointer at the blank paragraph below the title, and there I am. Then I will press enter 4 times to create or open a space below the title. That is enter on the keyboard, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I am then going to move to the bottom of the document. At the bottom of the document, I want to insert a shape with rounded corners, a rectangle shape with rounded corners. All right, where do we get shapes? The same place where we got our text from file as well as pictures, which was the insert tab. There, after pictures, you will see your shapes. We have a whole lot of shapes in there, your circles, ovals, rectangle, triangle. But the one we're looking for is a rectangle, but it has to have rounded corners. So this is a basic rectangle. Notice that's a text box, not a rectangle. When you insert them, text box and a rectangle look the same. But if a question asks for a text box, you pick a text box. If it asks for a rectangle, you pick a rectangle. They will look the same, but ECLA recognizes them, and obviously it will mark it incorrectly if you chose the wrong one. So this is a basic rectangle. It doesn't have rounded corners, but that one there is a rectangle with rounded corners. That is the one that we want. So as soon as I click on it, you will see the mouse cursor changes to a plus, a black plus. That shows you that it's carrying an object. So we're going to drop this object. You can just left click once and drop it there. But what I'm going to do is try to resize it right away. So I'm going to left click hold and then give it a certain size. When I'm happy with the size, then I will let go of my left click. So let's modify and format this shape. So the first thing that we want is to change our rounded rectangle and make sure that it's centered on our page relative to the page. Okay, same way that we've got the positioning of the picture on the shape format, position, more layout options. So I want my horizontal alignment to be centered, and this should be relative to page. And then with the vertical alignment, I still want it there. So just notice I still want it at the bottom, but I want it 0.9 centimeters away from the last line. Okay, so that means I'm going to use absolute positioning, which is currently at 1.29. I want to change this to 0.9. Okay, below the paragraph. So it will take it as the last paragraph, which starts with if you are interested in this position. All right. And then we say, okay. So it's there centered, and the space between the last paragraph and our shape is a little bit reduced. All right. So now we're going to change the size so that it's predefined. Remember, I resized it using my left click, but now what I want is go type in predefined values. Okay, so still on the format tab, on the sizing, the height and the width, the height should be 2.5 and the width will then be 8.5. We are happy with that size. Okay. Then inside this shape, I want to type something. All right. So we wanted to accentuate whatever we want to put in the shape so that the audience eyes can be attracted to that specific information. So what I'm going to type while I have my shape selected is semicolon, then I will press enter and type the website down below. All right, so the text doesn't really look nice. It's white in a blue filled shape while we've been using the orange theme colors. So I'm going to play around with it. So let's start with changing the size of that text to a size 14 and also bold it. All right, so remember we got that on the font, the size there, as well as the bold text effects is over there. But notice that as soon as I have my text selected, then I get a mini toolbar right then and there. It's exactly the toolbar that you would have gotten by going on the home tab on the font grouping. So you don't have to move in because you get it after selecting. So I just want to bold my text and also change to a size 14. Okay, this needs to be resized, which is what I'm going to do there. Okay, and then with the text still selected, I am going to change the font color to black. I don't want it wide, so I have the font selected, and there's the font color that we've used already before on the title, and then now I'm going to change this to a black color. We want black text one, and that was black text one, so we are happy. All right, the shape, we're done with the text. So now with the shape, I am not happy with that blue color. Okay, you'll see that we have a blue fill inside, a fill color. It's the color inside the shape, which is blue, and also around it, it's a darker shade of blue. So we're going to change that. Let's start with by applying the fill. So I'm going to go for orange theme colors again. So remember, anything to do with that shape, we're going to get on the shape format. Now we want to change the shape fill. We're going to go for orange accent 2, but a lighter shade. So lighter by 40%. So this is lighter 80%, lighter 60%, and there's lighter 40%. So it gives us orange, but with a lighter shade of that orange. And with the outline, I want a darker shade. You'll see that the border, the outline of a shape currently is a blue color. We're going to change that to orange accent 2. So the shape outline color, we're just going to change it to an orange accent 2, which is a bit darker than the fill that we have there. Okay, we are happy so far there. So now I want to tell the audience of our flyer again how they will be contacted to set up an interview. So this is important information. So we also want to make it unique. So we're going to put it under the title, but then we're going to use an object called a text box. All right. So we're going to insert a text box on that blank space that we left open. From the insert tab, again, shapes, the very first icon there is your text box. And then I have a big plus again, and then I can just resize it. So inside this shape, I am going to type, you will be contacted to set up an interview. So I also want to make sure that this is centered horizontally. Position, more layout option, we are used to this by now. This has to be centered horizontal across my page, relative to page, or we can use margins. We can change that and use margins so that it doesn't consider margins. Then with the vertical alignment, we're going to change the absolute position to 2.5. And then this will be below the margin as well. So it will just check the margin on top and make sure that our shape is 2.5 away from the margin. And then we say, okay. Okay, that's okay. Then we're going to apply the orange accent shape outline. So while we're still there, there's a shape outline. We're going to change the outline to an orange accent too, like we did with the rectangle there. We also want some shadow on this one. So on the shape effects, that's where we're going to get different effects, which is shadow, reflection, glow. With this one, we want a shadow. We're going to use an outer shadow that offsets center. Let's try that one there. We have outer shadow that offsets center, and we just put a little bit of shadow around our text box. All right. And then, so now the text is too small, so I'm going to select it and use my mini toolbar. I don't have to go to the home tab font formatting. So while I am there, I am now going to bold or change to a size 20. Okay, we are happy. And then I also want to center align and bold it. Let's also bold our text. With center alignment, we know by now where center alignment is. But a shortcut menu of this center alignment, we can use Control together with letter E on the keyboard. It will do the same thing. So you will notice, let me go to Home tab, that when you put your mouse cursor on something, it gives you a shortcut menu. So that means instead of clicking on a bold, I could have clicked Control with the letter B. And if I want to italic, instead of clicking there on the ribbon, I can just on my keyboard use a combination of keys, which is CTRL, short for Control, as well as the letter I. So for this one, the center, instead of coming to Home tab on the ribbon and using the alignment on the paragraph copying, I just clicked on Control plus the letter E. So those are the kind of things that you get used to as time goes on. And these short keyboard methods, they kind of reduce your time because you can do it right then and there. So I'm happy with this. I am happy. You can just make it look a little bit bigger. Just still make sure that it's centered there. All right. So now we're going to work with saving this file. So it will be advisable every time you effect a new change to use this icon here that saves, you come and save changes. So the only time you wouldn't use that is if autosave is switched on. Then Word will kind of detect that you've made changes and then autosave changes for you. But just get used to a custom of saving changes, because when it's off like that, and then I saved at the beginning, then after typing internships available as a title, and I forget to save changes, what will then happen at the end if I close this and ignore the warning that I didn't save changes, then whatever that I did after that title will not be visible when I open it next time. So just be careful of such things. So I'm going to save mine. I will save it on the T drive. So if you're still struggling with file management, please go back to the content of study unit 3 and get it right. All right. So this one, we're going to name it W01A, W01 project A underscore solution. Or we could have named it flyer. Just remember, Microsoft types in its own file extension, so there is no need for us to type in the docx file extension. It will do that, so we never do that. And then I will say save. All right, you will see there is my file name at the top of the ribbon. So I also want my footer to have the file name. So where do we find the footer? It explains itself. It's at the foot of the document, okay? It's not at the bottom of the document. At the bottom of the document now, we have that line, then the footer will be at the bottom there. You can activate the footer by going to the Insert tab and clicking on the footer. Then you will kind of decide which one you are making use of. Alternatively, you can double click at the bottom there and it will activate your footer. So what I want to type on the footer is the file name, which is W01A underscore solution. What a footer does is that if you get on a new page, then that file name will be in all your pages. So if now I go and insert a blank page, you will realize that even the next page will have the file name on the footer. That's what a header and a footer does. Then a header will then be at the top of your page. This is on the first line of the document, and then the header is a different location. So if a question asks you to type something on the top of the document, that means on the first line, not on the header. Those are two different locations. So if you then make a mistake, say maybe of typing that title in your header, then ECLA is not going to find it and it's going to mark it incorrectly. Even though it looks like it's on top of the document, it's inside a header. It's not on top of the document. With this one, it is on the first line of the document, making it on top of the document. So get the difference. There is a difference with typing something on a header and putting it on top of the document. Top of the document is the first line on the document that you type, whereas a header is a header. It's somewhere else. So computer, they know how to differentiate between different spaces. All right, lastly on this flyer, we want to put in the document properties. We want to put in 3 properties there: the author of this document, the title of the document, as well as the subject. Where do we get document properties? We get them on a file backstage view, which we all know by now. It's on the file tab. That is where we saved. File tab. To find the properties, we're going to click on info, the info tab there, and then there are the properties on the right hand side. So please, you'll notice that the properties button is a split button because it has an arrow. Open on that arrow and click on advanced properties, because then they are nicely, the title, the subject, and the author are just nicely one after the other. Okay, so I'll always only ask those 3 for 3 marks. So just get that on property summary and you type them in, making sure of spelling. And the common mistake will someone be pressing space after typing. make sure that you do not press the space bar after typing, then creating yourself another character. Okay, if you don't want to type them in there, you can go and type it right there, and then the author, but then you would have to go to show all options in order to see the subject. Okay, but ours, we went to advanced one. So this is the end of a flyer. Let's have a look at how it looks like. If we go to file print, if we were to print this, it's going to look like that. The second part of this lesson, we are going to format an information handout from Horizon River Productions for internships available to students. So let's get started. So we have the document already opened. All the text that we need is typed. So we just need to make it look attractive. We're going to modify it. Okay, we will first start by changing or setting the margins of the document. The margins, I repeat, it is that white space around the document. You will see that on the left hand side there's a bigger white space than on the right hand side. We're just going to change margins and make them all have a 1 centimeter. Okay, so let's go, we will decide when we get there. So the margins are on the tab called Layout. The Layout tab, the very first icon is your margins. Okay, you can go for the predefined ones, which are normal, narrow, moderate, wide, mirrored, or we can customize them. So when we customize margins, that's when we want to type in our own values. Okay, so you will see that currently our margins are top and bottom at 2.54, and then the left is 3.7 while the right is 1.9. No wonder the left looks bigger than the right. Okay, so let's change them and make them all 2.5. We can decide, okay, how about a 2.5 on top and bottom, and then on the left and right we can use 2. You can use the arrows to scroll up and down the value. So if you want to work faster, you can just type them in. So this looks much better. And then we're going to save this file. Okay, file, save as. We know how to save by now. So I'm going to also save it on the T drive, and then we will save it as W01B solution. Okay. Save, and then I want the footer to have the file name, so I will just double click at the bottom to activate the footer, and then I will also have the file name W01AB underscore solution. There we have it. Double click outside the footer to deactivate it. So we're going to select all text to make sure that it's center, it's left aligned. Okay, so how do I select all text? I do not have to go to the first one and then drag down to make sure that I select everything. This is 2 pages long. A shortcut method of selecting everything will be pressing Control with the letter A, which is the first letter of the word all. So I'm going to say Control letter A on the keyboard, both of them, and all the text in that document has been selected. And then I will go and make sure that it's center aligned. It was currently justified, and I just, not center aligned, left aligned it. All right, and then what we're going to do now is make use of the mini toolbar to change the font size of the Horizon River production. The title, which is also referred to the first paragraph of this document. We want to give it a bigger size so that it does look like a title. Okay, we could have used a mini toolbar with that. Remember, when you select, there's no need to use that. We could have also used the mini toolbar if you don't want to go to the ribbon. So we're going to change the line spacing of the entire document to 1.5. You will see that there's some space in between our lines there, and it's quite big. So I suspect that it's a 2. The recommended one is a 1.5. If also with your assignment, you will see that will be the recommendation. So we're going to press Ctrl A to select everything. And where is line spacing? The line spacing is after your alignments on the home tab on your paragraph scoping. And there it is, line and paragraph spacing. So it's going to help us choose how much space we want between the lines as well as between our paragraphs. So I'm going to select it. Yes, it's currently on 2, but we want to reduce it down to a 1.5. And then you will see that it looks much better already. Then we're going to work around the indentation of the paragraph that begins with the Horizon River production to the first line indent. So I'm going to choose my title again, and then where do we change indentation? We are going to go back to our line spacing options where we changed line spacing, but now we choose line spacing option. You will see that we have an indentation there. We want our indentation to be on the first line. We change it from line to a first line. All right, and it indented itself. It looks like it's on center, but it's still left aligned. You just moved it a little bit to the right. The next thing that we're going to do is after we're going to change the paragraph after the paragraph spacing. We're going to change the paragraph spacing of the entire document. We want the paragraphs to be separated by 6 point. So that means after each paragraph, there should be a space. So I will select the whole document again. Where do we change paragraph spacing? Same place where we change indentation as well as line spacing. And then we can go for line spacing options. You will see there we have spacing before or after paragraphs. We want our after spacing to be set at 6 point. We'll say okay. Then you will notice immediately then there is some spaces that was created after the paragraph. You can check, there's a space, and space between those bullet, a list, and so on, so on. Then we're going to go and select the subheadings. We have 3 subheadings here. It's the internship program requirements as well as the upcoming internships. I want to select all of them at the same time because I want all of them to have the same formatting so that when I decide the other one should be blue and the other one should be orange, no. Since all of them are subheadings of the same document, if I want one to have blue, then the other 2 has to have a blue color as well. So as to effect this change on all of them at the same time, I'm going to select all 3 at the same time. What am I going to make use of? The control key on the keyboard. So I will select the first one, then on the keyboard I will go and press Ctrl and hold, keep my finger there while I select the second one. You will have to let go of the control if you're going to use you make use of the scroll to scroll down, because if you scroll up and down while you're holding the control key, then the function changes to a zoom in and zoom out. So this is not what we want, zooming in and out. That's not the intention. The reason why that happened is because I was scrolling up and down while holding the control. So I will let go of the control. The 2 subheadings are still selected. When I get to the third one, I'll press Control again and hold and select the third subheading. Okay, all 3 subheadings are selected. What are we going to do to them? We're going to change the before paragraph spacing to 12 so that the spacing before our subheadings is set to 12. Same way where we change the after paragraph. So we'll say line spacing options, and the before will then be changed to a 12 point. Okay, so there's some spacing between now our subheadings. Okay, then we're going to change the color. Let's make color blue. So check that all at the same time are changing. Okay, we can also, maybe it's already bolded, we can underline them maybe. So all 3 of the at the same time are changing that color. What we could have used alternatively is to do the formatting on one of these lines, and then in order to change others, then we were going to make use of the format painter. And then while the format painter is selected, when you select another thing, then it takes the same formatting. Okay, we will do that later. So what we just demonstrate is a multi-selection of different weights. Okay, so now we're going to create and modify lists. Okay, under as an intern you might take part, there are 3 lists of items. So it's documentaries, it's commercials, as well as training. It's a list of items. So it will look like a list of items if we put bullets or numbers on it. So I'm going to select all 3 of them and then apply bullets. Where are the bullets? On top of your alignment. You can just click on the bullets to choose the standard ones, or we could have went in and choose a different bullet. So I'll take the standard one there. Okay, and then what I am going to do is also indent them to the right hand side. You will see that the bullets look like they come before as intern, whereas as an intern has a list of bullets. So what we're going to do is increase indentation. That means we're putting indentation further to the right. So it's now on a level 1. I will put it on a level 2 and then push it further to a level 3. So now this looks like it's a list under as an intern. All right. We will do, I want the same bullets on the August meetings, or under here is a partial internships. What I am going to do is click Format Painter so that I don't do the whole thing again of choosing certain bullets and indenting them. And then check what happens when I click on Format Painter. The mouse cursor carries a paintbrush. So whatever that I select, and while I have that paintbrush, will have the same formatting of those bullets, because when I clicked on Format Painter, I had those 3 lists selected. And if you want to make use of Format Painter more than once, you double click on it. If you're going to use it one time, you click once. Okay, when you double click on it, that's when you use it multiple times, and when you are done, you press escape on the keyboard to let go of it. All right, so let's go for numbered list. So we're going to position the insertion point at the end of the paragraph, starting with our requirements. There's our requirements, following the colon, and we will press enter. All right, so what we're going to do now is make sure that we have the line, the numbers. It's still on the bullet paragraphs. Instead of bullets, now we're going to use numbering. We click on the numbering, and the first bullet there will be in. So I want the second bullet, number 2, then I'll press enter, and it detects that I'm still numbering. Okay, then we'll say B. Okay, we'll press enter for the third bullet, and this one is submit. Okay, so we have 3 bullets: be enrolled in an accredited visual arts program, be available during the entire production process, and submit 3 faculty letters of recommendation. All right, so we have that list. Next, we're going to customize our bullets. We're going to select the bullets under August meetings. Okay, let's scroll down, look for August meetings. There we have them. It's 4 list of items, starting with technical, ending with the cafeteria. Okay, there is under August meetings. So we have all selected. What we're going to do is use the mini toolbar now and select the check mark symbol as a bullet. The first thing that we want to do is select them, and then there we can change a bullet, but then we want check mark. There's a check mark, a green one. We can go for a different color if you want to, a blue color. We can also customize those colors if we want. When you go to define new bullet, then you are able to make it a picture. You can play around with font. That's where you can decide on the size of your bullet and change the color as well. Okay, so just remember you are able to play around with the bullets. So we're going to make use of Format Painter and change the bullet for the list that we have selected. Remember, we have used standard bullets, but we also want them now to have the same formatting as this one. So I'm going to make use of the Format Painter. Okay, I will double click on it since I'm going to use Format Painter 2 times. So I will select Documentaries and I'll also select Production Assistant. Let's see what else can we do. So now what we're going to do is do tab stops. Okay, you will see that the technical camera lighting sound is on 6 August in Studio P, and then this last one, it's in August, but there's no space between the name of the meeting or the type of a meeting it is and as well as where it is and the date. So we're going to separate and create space in between by applying what we call tab stops. We can either make use of a ribbon when we use tab stops or use paragraph dialog box. We will do both and you choose your own preferred method. So I'm going to select these two columns, the one of the dates and the one of the name type. So we want the tab stop to be at 8.9 or 8.79. Where will we get this? On your horizontal ruler. Remember, if you don't see it, you'll get it on the view tab. I will see that there's an 8 there, 8.25, in the middle is 8.5, and the third one is 8.75. If I click on it, then you will see that I just selected a left aligned tab stop. There is the alignment. If we wanted the right alignment, we will just go there with the ruler and just change. It just changed to a center. And then now when I click on it again, it changes to a right tab. So just be aware that the alignment of tab stops is not the same alignment as the paragraphs there. The tab stops have their own alignment. So there was no space in between the dates and the name of the meeting, but after applying tab stops, we now have that space. All right. Alternatively, we could have done this on a paragraph dialog box. When you go on your paragraphs grouping on the home tab and click on this little icon here that's called paragraph settings, it will open the paragraph dialog box for us. Right at the bottom, there's a button named tabs. We're going to click on it. And then this alignment, remember, it's not the same as that paragraph alignment there. So let's then center align this. And then we center align it using maybe 12.75. Let's see how it will look. In order to set that position, you have to click on set. And then you say, okay. You will see that this is center aligned. There's a line on the center of those August meetings, and it's also separated. Okay, let's practice this tab stop on another document. But before that, before we close this one, I just want to change the title and give it a small caps and change the color as well. So I will also give it a color blue. And then where will we get small caps? Just notice that small caps is not, it has nothing to do with increasing and decreasing the font size. That if we decrease it, will just make it smaller than a 40. It also has nothing to do with the lowercase and upper cases. When we get small caps, we will have to open the font dialog box the same way we did the paragraph dialog box to get tab stops. We're going to do that by clicking on that little icon on the right of font grouping. There is font, and then we have the font dialog box. So you can still get your font there, your bold, your size, everything. But what we want here, what we are interested in small cap in this. All right, and then, okay, you will see that it looks nicer and it looks like a title. All the letters look like capital letters, but those that were already capital letters, they just look bigger than those that were not. All right. I just center aligned my title so that it looks nicer. So I'm done with this document. I am happy. So I will now close it and open a second file just to say more about the tab stops. When you go here, you will notice that we have the subtitle called Top South African Travel Tours. It has 4 columns: departing column, the trip name column, days column, as well as FOMSA column. But it's not really visible as to what is under what. Yes, we can see the dates, but the trip names are overlapping with your days as well as the prices. So we want to separate these columns making use of tab stops. I'm going to use both methods again, then you decide on the method that you prefer. I will first select the entire table, starting with the first heading to the end there. So let's say the first one I wanted at 2.75, then on the ruler I can click 2.75. The second one, let's say we want it at 7, then I can click on a 7. It's still not good enough. It didn't separate the dates. So I think it will look best if 7, then maybe it's moved to a 9. Let's try that. So I don't have to undo and do that thing over again. I can just left click and hold on that tab and literally move it to a 9, which still doesn't look good. 10 looks better. And then 9, the 9 is okay. And then FOMSA also will separate by maybe giving it an 11.5. So the dots, the spaces in between, it's a 0, it's a 0.25, a 0.5, and a 0.75. 11.5 will then be in the middle. So we are happy. You can see there's departing, there's trip name, there's days, and then ZA. So let's undo so that we can use the paragraphs dialog box. Okay, left tab didn't work well. The right tab, we will use tab. Let's say it's set. And then we also said 8.25 maybe set. Then 12.75 set. All in, okay. But the days still don't look nice, so I will just move them from 8.25 to 9.5. Or maybe a 10, and that looks much better. (9.5), and the table looks much better. Okay, that is the end of this lesson.